Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic on Vedic astrology. As a matter of fact, today we'll be continuing with our discussions on nakshatra, and today we'll be discussing about the 13th nakshatra, which is called the Hasta Nakshatra. So far, we have discussed in detail about the 12 nakshatras, and Uttara Falguni was the last nakshatra we discussed, which was the 12th nakshatra in detail, and then we subsequently discussed the four padas, or the four divisions. So normally how we go about this is we discuss the nakshatra in detail, and then we have another following video which describes the four padas. So Hasta, as you know, is well, not as you know, but Hasta means what? Hasta is the hand. Hasta means hand, okay? And it spans a distance like all other nakshatras, about 13 degrees and, not about, but exactly 13 degrees and 20 minutes. That's the distance of each nakshatra, and Hasta also spans the distance of 13 degrees and 20 minutes, but it spans this distance in the zodiac sign of Virgo, meaning which it is it is situated, and it starts from 10 degrees of Virgo through 23 degrees and 20 minutes of Virgo. So we've seen earlier nakshatras where some nakshatras overlap between two zodiac signs, but this nakshatra is very clearly in between only one zodiac sign, which is Virgo, starting from 10 degrees of Virgo through 23 degrees and 23 degrees and 20 minutes of Virgo. Okay, so like I've already mentioned to you, Hasta means the hand, so that's a major characteristic of this nakshatra, and we're going to discuss in detail how very shortly. And so that symbol is the hand, and it represents, the hand represents basically blessing the entire society, people, humanity. So it's all about blessing people. But then, like I said, I will discuss in detail more about the hand. And the animal symbol for this nakshatra, like all other nakshatras have animal symbols we've been discussing, is the female buffalo. The ruling planet of this nakshatra is moon. Okay, the nature is devata, like devata means God, and the presiding deity of this nakshatra is Savitar. Okay, and Savitar is nothing but the sun god. As you know, people who are familiar with the Gayatri mantra, which starts with Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, that's Savitar. Savitar is the sun god. Okay, so that's the presiding deity. So here there is a connection of moon, because moon is the ruling planet of this nakshatra, and also the sun, because sun is also the presiding deity of this nakshatra. So the influence is moon and sun. Okay, and normally when we discuss nakshatras, we take into consideration the placement of moon in a particular nakshatra. So when we are talking about Hasta Nakshatra, in a generic way, you know, as a general term, that a person is born in Hasta Nakshatra, it means that at the time of birth, moon was placed in this nakshatra, or in other words, at the time of birth, moon was placed between 10 degrees and 23 degrees and 20 minutes in the zodiac sign of Virgo. Okay, now you're going to ask me, why don't you deal it with the same relationship with other planets? I mean, why wouldn't you say if another planet other than moon is placed in a particular nakshatra, why wouldn't you say the person is born in that nakshatra? Because nakshatras are spanning over the entire zodiac of 360 degrees. Why? Because it's very simple. Because moon is traditionally, or as per mythology, you can say that moon is married to the 27 daughters of Daksha Prajapati, and all these 23 daughters represent the 27 daughters, rather. Did I say 23? No. So moon is married to Daksha Prajapati's 27 daughters, and these 27 daughters represents the 27 nakshatras. Okay, so moon, and that is the reason why moon stays in one nakshatra for approximately 1 day, and it jumps from one nakshatra to another, and it comes back around 27 days later to the same nakshatra. Means it visits, you know, and symbolically it visits its wife every day, one single wife every single day, so as to say, okay, approximately. So that's why moon has a great relationship, and when we discuss nakshatras, we consider moon as you know, visiting these nakshatras approximately for 1 day. Okay, so and then of course moon is the mind, and then all the interpretations, astrological interpretations, go as per where the moon is placed, which nakshatra it is placed. So today what discussion we'll have is about Hasta Nakshatra, and people whose moon is placed in Hasta Nakshatra is what we are going to be discussing today at the time of the person's birth. So you have to see whether moon is placed between 10 degrees and 23 degrees 20 minutes of Virgo or not. And we've discussed what the symbol is, which is the hand. We've discussed the animal symbol, which is female buffalo. We discussed the ruling planet moon, and the interesting factor here is that moon is situated in Hasta Nakshatra, and the ruling planet of this moon is also, or the ruling planet of this nakshatra is also moon. So moon rules over this nakshatra, and also moon's placement is in this nakshatra. So what does that mean? That moon becomes a very, very strong influencing factor here. And that's the reason why it's open hand blessing, you know, to the world, to the society, to humanity, because moon is all about making everybody happy. Okay, so moon is a very, very strong influencing factor here. Why? Once again, because one is that moon is placed in the nakshatra, like I've already discussed, that when we discuss a nakshatra, we see the placement of moon. And in this particular case, moon is also the ruling planet of this nakshatra. Okay, so moon becomes a very strong influencing factor here, once again. And also the presiding deity is sun, and of course sun has an influencing role here as well, because it's about Savitur, it's about the sun god as well. But the tricky matter in this nakshatra is that moon, although is sitting in the nakshatra which is ruled by again moon, is again sitting in the zodiac sign of Virgo. So Mercury comes into play here, and as we know, Mercury and moon are not great friends, and we'll discuss about this little tricky situation in a moment. But let us discuss first about the positive traits about people who are born in this nakshatra. Okay, they are extremely pleasant people. Why? Because the characteristics of moon, they are very humorous. Why? Because the influencing factor here is Mercury, because of the rulership of the zodiac sign of Virgo. Very, very humorous people, and try to make people happy through their humor. And they're very charming. Well, we know moon is a very charming personality, very attractive, wealthy, have many relationships because of the nature, very nature, vacillating nature of moon. So they get attracted to the opposite sex very quick. And you know, people, you know, with whose moon is exalted, or moon is in Taurus zodiac sign in general, they are generally having a lot of relationships, okay, because of their nature to attract people. As a matter of fact, it's not them, and they're of course vacillating nature, because moon waxes and wanes, and you know, it moves very quick. It's the quickest planet. We consider moon as a planet in Vedic astrology, in the zodiac. Okay, so many relationships, very generous. Why? Because moon wants to make people happy, and also about the influence of the sun god, the nature of the sun to be very, very generous as well. Extremely intelligent because of the influence of sun, because sun is about higher knowledge, and I wouldn't mix intelligence with higher knowledge. So they are knowledgeable because of sun, and very intelligent as well because of the influence of the planet Mercury. Okay, and very cordial. They don't want to get into fights and confrontations because of the very nature of moon. Moon is very, very strong here and very cordial, and they don't like to express anger, and they want to be friendly and helpful and generous and bless people, so on and so forth, in control. And sometimes they can be extremely focused as well because of but generosity, because of the influence of the planet sun. But generosity and their royal nature also comes into play very much, because the presiding deity is sun god Savitur. They understand the social system very well, thanks to moon, because moon is all about society, about mixing well with the society, following the norms of the society, okay, and the normal social rituals, so as to say. And they are, of course, they'd like to take opportunities in the right areas. One very, very distinctive feature of people born in this nakshatra is they like to be associated with foreign lands, okay. Very, very distinctive feature. They do very well dealing with foreign lands, meaning which, if they're in a business dealing with the exports or imports, they do very, very well, very well. And they can change themselves very, very easily, very flexible people, because of the influence. Of course, the strongest influence here is moon, because of course moon is in the nakshatra and the ruling planet is also moon. So people with Hasta Nakshatra will like to give charities, sun and moon qualities, and will get famous eventually in life. And fame comes through these two planets, sun and moon as well, okay. They respect scholars a lot. That's a very distinctive feature about this, because they are about knowledge, Savitur, the sun god. So they will respect the scholars, and they will also perform the homas and yagyas, and they'll follow the rules of the Vedas very, very strictly. They will not ignore them, and they will honor those people who are well versed in Vedas and homas and mantras and so on and so forth, and all the Vedic culture, so as to say. And they'll be excellent speakers, well, because of the influence of Mercury here, and of course the charm which moon carries along with it. However, they although they will we've already discussed that they have a very distinctive feature of being associated with foreign things and foreign lands. That's very distinctive feature of Hasta, people born in Hasta Nakshatra. And once again, when I say people born in Hasta Nakshatra, means when moon was placed between 10 degrees and 23 degrees and 20 minutes of Virgo, which is the distance, or which is the area ruled by this nakshatra. So moon is the planet you should look out for, okay. But at the same time, along with these positive qualities, there are certain negative qualities as well, explained in the ancient scriptures as well. They have a slightly thievish nature. Now, thievish means like a thief, okay. That's mentioned in the ancient scriptures, and I'm assuming that is because of the conflict between Mercury and moon. As you know, that Mercury and moon are not friendly to each other, so there is a factor of some kind of a greed factor which comes into play because of Mercury. Mercury is a Rajasic planet which deals with money, so they can be slightly thievish in nature, and they could be con artists as well. And it is coming from the scriptures, and you would see certain negative traits. But then when you research people with Hasta Nakshatra people, okay, then you have to take into consideration that other factors as well in the birth chart, not just the nakshatra. So if he has a tendency to be thievish, to have more attractions towards money in a negative way, not based on the nakshatra but based on his main birth chart, then you can see these tendencies, because there is a tendency as per the nakshatra to acquire. But otherwise, they are great people. Hasta means the hand, so they'll excel with anything to do with the hand. They'll do great work with paintings, excellent painters, because painting is about hand. They can be great cartoonists, because cartoons is about humor, which is Mercury, and then using the hand to create cartoons. Anything to do with sewing, they can be good with their hands. Anything to do with hands, they excel, because Hasta is about the hand. Okay, but sometimes, like I said, there can be certain negative qualities in them because of their greed for money, which could make them mistrustful, and in becoming too much attracted towards money. Also, sometimes when moon is sitting in the zodiac sign of Virgo, and it's also ruling, then because of the clash, or because of the non-friendliness nature of Moon and Mercury, they could have some kind of an emotional issue as well. So again, don't jump to a conclusion. Look at the birth chart as well, and then compare it to the nakshatra, and then come to a conclusion. But in case the birth chart also allows some kind of a conflict between Mercury and Moon, then you'll see some kind of a problem related to their emotional health. And in case the birth chart also allows emotional problems, look at the fourth house, look at the aspects and conjunctions on Moon, then you'll see some emotional problems, because here there could be problems. It's sitting in the zodiac sign of Mercury. So these are some negative things that they like. They're sometimes restless as well, because again, Moon can make them restless if it's not well aspected, or it's in conjunction with a malefic, or aspected by a malefic, and it's sitting the zodiac sign, of course, of Mercury, and then of course their ability to be slightly thievish when it comes to money. Okay, sometimes one of the negative qualities that has been experienced or observed rather by people, by astrologers rather, for Hasta Nakshatra people, is that in case the emotional pressure is too much, they can take into alcoholism and drugs as well. So that is, they could get into immense stress as well, because again, once again, there's a clash, there's a conflict between Mercury and Moon. Otherwise, like I said, great artists, great painters, anything to do with their hands, they could be great sculptures as well, because of their ability to do things with their hands, and very generous thanks to Sun, and very, very learned and knowledgeable in terms of things related to the Vedas and the chanting of mantras and homas, and respecting people who follow the principles or anything to do with the Vedas and Vedanta, so as to say. They respect those people because of the influence of Sun and Moon. So this was a little discussion. So what career interest can people with Hasta Nakshatra can have? Well, you can see, like I said, artists, craftsmen, they can be great teachers as well, because of the ability to impress people through their charisma given to them by Moon, and the intellect and the speaking ability, or their power in terms of speech. And at the same time, if people are not in those areas, they can become some kind of a social worker as well, because Moon is about social working as well, working in a hospital or some kind of a non-governmental organization, an NGO. They can be great astrologers and palm readers as well, because it's about the hand, the palm. They can become great palm readers, and then they can become sometimes authors as well, because Mercury, and advisors and ministers, because they have an ability, like I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, to rise up in life, and they have the charisma and they have the intelligence. So there is a good possibility, because of the influence of Sun and Moon, that they are picked up by government, by kings. Today, days and age, of course, there are no kings, but by the government, to become ministers and advisors. So there's mostly a shade of positive in people born in Hasta Nakshatra, but like I said, because of the emotional strain, and and because of the influencing factor of, or because of the fact of the conflict between Mercury and Moon, they could be certain negative traits observed in them as well, but mostly positive. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. In the following video, we will discuss about the 4 divisions or 4 padas related to the Hasta Nakshatra. And in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology or the continuation of my series on nakshatras very soon. Goodbye.